Hi, it's Steve with Coin Stuff I Like, bringing you part 13 in the Carson City uh, Mint, Carson City Dollar, Carson City Coin series. This time, I'm going to talk about raw circulated Morgan sets. I'm going to show you my raw circulated Morgan set that I have self encapsulated. You can see that in that center image. The capsule is an NGC like holder that you buy on Amazon. At least I did, and you make your own labels for it. And encapsulate it. I rather do this than an album, although if you're putting together a set, that's your prerogative to do so. So I want to show you my raw Morgan set from Carson City, but I want to talk a little bit more about putting them together and some of the pitfalls and so forth. So let's get into it. For this, I put together this table, which is very busy. I have a link in the description of this video that will link you to this particular table if you want to have it and either print it off or save it on your own hard drive. So what I have is the Morgan series dates, and I have the original mintage, which means it's historically interesting, but it means very little to the collector side at this point, aside from a few base, the low mintage years. I have the GSA hoard, which, if you remember, this is the Morgan dollars from Carson City that were put in vaults, mostly uncirculated, put in vaults, and were not made available to the public until about 1972 ish. And so this is the GSA, the numbers of each year for Carson City Mint that were put in the GSA hoard or were available in the GSA hoard, and the percentage that GSA hoard represents of the original mintage. I also have the survival rate. These are from Rusty Go's 3 volume book, which is outstanding on Carson City Mint and all the various silver and gold coins produced by the Carson City Mint. He does meticulous work to estimate a survival a survival population in all grades, which is what this is. And what I did here is the percent of the estimated survival versus the original mintage. So, for example, in 1878, 67% of the original mintage survives in all grades. Rusty Go also estimates the number of uncirculated survivors. And what I did is I took the percentage, very approximate, mind you, because there's ranges on both sides, a very approximate survival survival population, the percentage that's uncirculated, percentage circulated. So you can peruse the table on your own, but I do have it available for you in the description. The reason I made this is to illustrate a couple of points. One, the key dates. You can see that the original mintage is not that important. For example, 1885 has a very low, the lowest mintage of the Carson City Morgan Dollar series. But because a large number, nearly 65% of the original mintage went into the GSA hoard, again, mostly uncirculated, they have a higher survival rate than, say, the 1889, which also has a low mintage, but only one of them went into the GSA hoard. So consequently, most of them that are out there either getting circulated, destroyed, lost, what have you, melted. But they weren't in the GSA hoard until the 1970s. So consequently, the survival rate is a lot lower. So the key dates of the Morgan series and the hardest ones to find, period, whether you're looking for uncirculated examples or circulated examples, the hardest ones are 1889, 1893, 1879. Those are the lowest surviving populations of Carson City dollars. So if you're putting a slab set with as high grades as you can, or an uncirculated, if possible, those are going to be the really hard dates. And they remain the hard dates in a circulated set simply because of the survival population. But when we go to raw, the 1885, and to a lesser extent the other high GSA years, but 1885 in particular, has most of them were put away. It's a very low mintage. Most of them were put away as uncirculated. So there is very, very few uncirculated, or I'm sorry, most of them are uncirculated. So there's very, very few circulated examples from 1885. And there's also very few from a percentage point of view from all of these GSA years. But they were higher mintages and higher survival rates, so that there's generally more circulated examples available for 82, 83, 84. It's still difficult, but not like in 85. So 79, 89, 93, they remain key dates, but when you're putting together a circulated set, the 85 is going to be a tough one. And what I did is these are very approximate numbers. These are the approximate number of survivors that are circulated. So there may be as little as 1,000 surviving 1885 in circulated condition. So this again makes it hard. And if you look at all the low surviving coins from Carson City, 93, 89, 79, and then the GSA years, the GSA hoard years, where the bigger percentage was put away. But this one here, this is the toughest. So let's talk a little bit about putting together a raw set, if you wanted to, and some of the things to be careful with and be aware of. So the one thing is that realize that Carson City dollars that you find raw, not in third-party graded holders, they're raw for a reason, usually because they would get details grade, whether it's rim dings, scratches, graffiti, cleaning. There's a reason that it's still raw and hasn't been sent in. And of course, it could be that it's one of the coins that doesn't warrant the expense of getting it graded. That's not too common with Carson City dollars, but realize that when you're looking at them, look at them closely, these raw coins, for evidence of cleaning and rim dings and graffiti or scratches and so forth. The other thing to realize is because Carson City dollars carry a lot of premium, they're also counterfeited as well. So beware of potential counterfeits. Uh, Buy from reputable dealers or reputable auction houses. But even then, be aware, there's ways of checking when you get your raw Morgan home. You can look at it very closely, look at the surfaces. Are they pitted like it was a cast coin? Um, are the size of the devices, the location of the various devices, are they right? Are they looking like a Morgan? You can compare them to pictures, weigh it. Now realize that Morgan's going to weigh 26.73 grams if it's all there. If it's worn, it's going to be a little bit lighter, but still not, dramatically. It's not going to be a couple grams off. So it's going to be close to that 26.73, but on the lighter side of that. And then, of course, if you have a local shop that has an XRF, or if you happen to have a Sigma machine at home, you could check for content. Make sure it's a 90% silver. So those are the things you want to look for in putting together. Realize that the key dates 79, 89, and 93. Those are going to be, you're going to have to pay a little bit more for those, but also that 85. It's going to be hard to find. You may have to pay a little bit more for that one because it is harder to find in circulated condition. So that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the raw set that I have of Morgan dollars from Carson City Mint. Okay, let me run through these on the video. There's the 1878. This is a VAM 13. There's my holder. This is a pretty nice one. Pretty decent details around the periphery. There's a little bit of toning and a little bit of reflectivity from the original mint condition. And then here's the reverse. Again, pretty good condition for this one for a raw, ungraded example. All right, 79. Now this is a little bit of a harder one just from a mintage perspective. This one here, pretty well worn, as you can see. 1879, and again, pretty well worn, but it's a representative. It's one of the tougher dates in the Carson City series. 80. This is a VAM 3A. With these, there are in most cases, except for the really worn ones, there's enough detail that between mint mark alignment, mint mark position, and some of the markers, you can make out what VAM it is. So here's the 1880 also. Pretty decent details. Certainly used in commerce and worn. Uh, 1891, VAM 2. This one has a clean look to it. It's hard to tell with all of these coins. They could have been cleaned ages ago and then retoned. All right, and there it is. 1882. This one I couldn't detect what VAM it was. I couldn't determine. Markers weren't clear enough. 1882. Most of these I've either purchased from coal bins or at auction. (1883). This one has damage to it. Couldn't determine the VAM. It's getting into the GSA where there's a lot of GSA, so it's getting into the period where there was it's harder to find circulated examples. So 1883, you can see the damage right around the ear. Pretty well worn. Means it was used quite a bit in commerce, I'd assume. Uh, 1884. Again, GSA hoard. Not this particular coin, of course, but during that period. So those are mostly uncirculated in the GSA hoard. So finding circulated examples is pretty hard. And here's another one that's pretty well worn. It was a VAM 4. Let me bring that into focus. There we go. 1884. Well worn, but nice fill for my collection. That reminds me, a lot of these may have been, besides used in commerce initially, when they were finally pulled out of circulation, they probably found their way to some albums, and, just to fill in the Carson City space. So here's the 1885. This one is not too bad compared to the 83 to 84, but it's also it's a tough bugger to get in circulated condition, because nearly all the 1885s went into the GSA hoard and were uncirculated, so not many made it into circulation and made it into the wild. And there we go. There's the reverse. All right, then we jump ahead to 1889. Mint was not open for production of silver dollars in that period between 1886, 87, and 88. But in 89, they came back. And in the latter part of the year, they started producing coins. This is a hard one just because of the mintage, as opposed to 1885 being a hard one because of very few circulated. 79, 89, and 93 are tough because just they're low mintage years. Just not many coins, period. You can see this pretty well worn around the rim there from about 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Same thing on the reverse, Epic 12 and at 6. But as that beautiful CC mint mark. or 1890. This is a VAM 11. And I like this one because it looks pretty original. Who knows if it was cleaned in ages ago, but it looks pretty original, and it's certainly circulated condition. Pretty nice. 1891. 1891. This is a VAM 5. Has the VAM 5 markers on it. Pretty well worn.
And there's the reverse for you. $18.92. This is a VM11 for $18.92. Pretty well worn, circulated. And CC mint mark on the reverse. And then lastly is the 1893. Again, this is one of the key dates because of the low mintage. 1893 was the last year of production for Carson City Mint. And there it is. This one, I have a strong suspicion this was cleaned at some point in time. But nevertheless, it was used in circulation at some point. And has that CC mint mark. And there you have it. There's some circulated and raw Carson City Morgan silver dollars. Let's go back to the slides for concluding remarks.
So there you have it, a raw set, self-encapsulated, some of them, well, most of them with enough detail to identify the VAM. Some of them would straight grade, few of them would straight grade if I submitted them, but I'm not. And most of them would probably get details, whether it's from cleaning or there's one with a rim ding. Most of those, at least half or more of them would get a details grade, I think. But nevertheless, I like it because these are all circulated and they're all from Carson City Mint. They're all used in circulation back in the day, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and even into the 1900s and even beyond. They probably, if you went to a casino in the 1950s. They use real silver dollars in the machines and such, and it may have been Carson City dollars in those. The bottom line, though, is for me, it's nice to have this series in raw condition. I don't have to hassle with the fees for sending it in for grading. Like I said at the outset, if you like albums and you want to put them in an album, that's fine. I like to encapsulate them. That way you can pick them up individually, look at them with a loop really easily rather than taking them out of the album. And again, they're circulated. They've got history. And that's why it's stuff I like. Thank you for watching. Remember, buy stuff you like, but be smart about what you buy. Hope to see you next time. Thank you for watching.